was, of course, Bach, Chaim Soutine's favorite composer, played by the ever-so-talented Kalia Kalcha. Thank you, Kalia. I am Marie Rosen. I will be your narrator this evening and will read the role of Madeleine Castaing, designer, art collector, benefactress to the great Chaim Soutine. On stage, we also have Stella Berg, Dana Watkins, and Nicole Mishinsky. It is 1943. Chaim's friends and lovers are gathering at his home and studio in Nazi-occupied Paris for his funeral. You will meet them as they arrive. With that, we could show you the original paintings discussed this evening. You will have to content yourself with a few poor renditions in your programs. We will reference these during the play. Canvases and art supplies are strewn about, along with unwashed dishware, clothes, and who knows what. Oh my, I believe those are roaches. Step carefully. Chaim is also here, initially as a spirit. Later, he will be an active participant in the scenes of his life. You will also meet the true love of his life, the one he gave his body and soul to, his art. If we were staging this, Chaim's mother would also be present in spirit, learning for the first time much about his life. Well, one never knows. Marie-Berthe Aurenche, his last lover and companion, is here. She's making a half-hearted attempt to organize the mess. Too little, too late, if you want my honest opinion. There is a knock on the door. Marie opens it to the very lovely and gracious Gerda, Michaelis.
You would be Gerda?
I am. Marie-Berthe?
Oh, please, simply Marie. I'm glad you could make it. Come in, sit down. Oh, you can just push that onto the floor.
As if there's a place where one would want to sit. Thank you. I'm fine.
I wish we had met on a happier occasion. You were with him for...
2 years. About 2 years ago.
What was he working on then?
Various subjects, I think. Honestly, I know so little about arts, and he was so private about his work.
Yes, I guess you have to be an artist to truly understand the life. And Chaim.
Oh, you paint?
Oh my, yes. In fact, we were collaborators.
Really? That sounds so unlike him.
Well, he could be private, as you say, but he needed a woman's touch. I know he valued the influence.
You have work here?
Just this one.
Oh, it's lovely.
Please, check your program. Didn't I tell you she was gracious?
Thank you. I have to admit, I am looking forward to getting back to my work. It was all I could do to help him with this. Chaim spoke very fondly of you, by the way. He called you his guardian?
He did. Gerda guard. This painting is...
Yes, mother and child. Please, keep it.
Really?
Oh, I can't be ignorant of his feelings for you. Or you for him.
Marie, thank you. It reminds me of caring for him.
He certainly needed to be cared for. Even now, I'll need to sell some of these paintings to pay for the funeral and the tombstone.
Oh, Madeleine can help you with that.
I'm sure she can, but I'll be able to manage it.
You decided on one? A tombstone?
Yes. Would you like to see the sketch of it?
Please. This is a crucifix?
Oh, that must be Madeleine.
Madeleine.
Oh, Gerda, my dear, I'm so happy you were able to make it. You're well?
As well as can be expected.
I'm so sorry for your loss, Gerda.
Thank you, Michel. It's a sad day for all of us. I'm glad you could come. You're living in Toulouse now, yes?
If living in dread of the door being kicked in can be called living.
I'm sorry, I haven't had the pleasure. I'm Marie-Berthe Aurenche.
My apologies, Michel Kikoine.
Ah, yes. I know your work. It's a pleasure to meet you.
Marie is also a painter.
Oh, is that how you knew Chaim?
They were collaborators.
Collaborators. With the great Chaim Soutine.
With Chaim.
We had a special relationship.
You must have.
Marie brought him from Chinon to Paris for the surgery.
That's got to be 300 kilometers.
290.
And this is...
This tombstone.
with a crucifix.
You may not know this, but towards the end, he became very interested in Catholicism. His latest paintings, when I was with him, were of cathedrals, choir boys, altar boys, but then you hadn't seen him since, well, 2 years, yes? You're looking well, though. I trust the occupation hasn't been too difficult for you.
I'm fine, Marie-Berthe. Thank you.
I'm sorry, but I'll need to make the final arrangements about the route. I should be back shortly. Gerda, will you serve as a host while I'm out? I'm sure you know where everything is.
Certainly. It doesn't seem like it's changed much since I was last year. And thank you, Marie, for all you've done.
Oh, it's nothing.
How long were they together?
2 years.
Here.
And in Champagne.
Living like this. And the trip can hardly have been good for her.
I'm sure she did the best she could.
When you introduced them,
We had no alternative.
and the funeral, not in the Jewish section.
Nope.
Well, I guess it makes no difference, especially now. At any rate, I never knew him to practice.
Certainly not when he was with me. Madeleine?
No.
You know, his family was quite orthodox, from Lithuania.
Did you know them?
No. But he told me a bit about his childhood.
He rarely spoke of it to me.
Perhaps there was a reason for that.
Well, We have a few minutes.
And with pleasure, I think. The Chaim Soutine, born in the shtetl of Slimovici, Lithuania, the 10th of 11 children.
Michel Kikoine, the son of a banker from Belarus.
He told me of the joy he felt as a child watching the sunlight play on the wall by his bed.
I can believe that. His paintings breathe light.
Sadly, he got little more than sunlight as a child.
That is definitely not true.
When he could barely walk, he drew on the walls of his home with a lump of charcoal. His father forbid this.
The second commandment.
And thou shalt not make graven images of anything that is in heaven, on earth, or in the water. Still, he drew. But charcoal was too limited a medium for him, for his vision, so he stole his mother's scissors to buy crayons.
Not true. It was a knife. And it was to buy a pencil, red and blue, in a single pencil. Can you imagine such a wonder for a child of 7?
He was locked in for days in the chicken coop.
Like we had chickens.
His life was a fearful symmetry. Draw, be scolded. Draw, be reprimanded. Draw, be expelled from school.
A difficult and unstable nature, according to my teacher.
He was always hungry. His father often took the food from his plate. His mother might sneak him an onion or a piece of bread, and he would take this and hide in the woods to draw.
And to eat.
In peace. And he wandered the village, drawing on walls. And he was constantly reprimanded. Those is verboten. Until his mother gave him the money to go to Minsk. Now, where a shtetl Jew got enough money to send her 14-year-old son to Minsk, and why she would give it to him in the first place, he never told her.
Never mind.
I arrived in Minsk in 1906. Chaim arrived a year later. Joined me at the Kruger Academy of Art. Guaranteed to make you a professional painter in 3 months.
A house painter?
Exactly.
So we made our way to the Vilna School of Fine Arts. Chaim failed the entrance examination.
Not true.
He was anxious, made mistakes in perspective in his drawing.
They were perfect. But the academic exam, remember, a difficult and unstable nature.
He threw himself at the director's feet, pleading. And he was admitted. And for the first time in his life, dressed splendidly in student's uniform. He was always modest, though. Once, I saw him without a shirt on.
The scars.
Yes.
Scars?
2, very deep, above his heart.
You wouldn't say how you got them.
Never mind.
He was one of the most brilliant students of
The most brilliant.
But the subject of his sketches always carried a certain morbidity. I served as the model for his final project.
You saw it?
I peeked.
And?
It was superb. It reminded me of a Courbet.
Courbet. Do you really think so? The great Gustave Courbet.
It was brilliant, but he was unhappy with my comment.
Pardon me? Something I must attend to.
He attacked the painting violently, stabbing it and slicing it repeatedly.
It was supposed to look like Soutine.
So true. He did not like comparisons.
I left for Paris in 1912. A year later, Chaim, not yet 20, showed up at my door. I hadn't heard from him, but I was expecting him. Earlier that evening, I ran into Valdemar George, the art critic. He told me that he saw a young man with a low brow and a shifty gaze, truly a shtetl bumpkin, disheveled, unwashed, red face with thick lips. Wherever anybody approached him, he would scurry away. But when he came to Rembrandt, the slaughtered ox, our bumpkin was transfixed.
Es ist so schön. Es macht mich mischuge. Ist Gott.
It is so beautiful. It drives me mad. He is God.
I knew it could only have been Soutine. George later commented,
This Lithuanian Jew belonged to a family of painters, which included Van Gogh, who was clearly superior to him, and Oscar Kokoschka.
Van Gogh. Tawdry and sentimental. He should have had his eyes examined.
Late that night, he knocked on my door carrying a suitcase that contained all of his earthly possessions. Brushes, paints, an old used canvas, no other clothes. He was excited to see me, and even more excited to see my dinner. He rushed to the table, he devoured it.
Tapeworm.
A penniless, starving Russian Jew. I was able to get him into the artist collective at L'Aurenche.
The beehive?
More like a flea hive.
The most ferocious of ferocious animals.
He developed a hearing problem. Finally, I persuaded him to see a doctor. Bugs nesting there. All in all, he led a life of poverty, hunger, worry,
And painting.
and painting. He would go for days without eating to buy supplies. When he wasn't painting, he hung out at Café de la Rotonde. Mostly outside, trying to catch a café crème or a sandwich, and better yet, both. One evening I ran into him. The war was on, I just enlisted. And he asked me to join him for a sandwich, meaning would I buy him one? I had also heard that Matisse studied with him. I mean, many artists would have killed for that chance, literally. Matisse was quite arguably the best living painter, certainly in Paris. In Soutine's opinion,
It's all literature.
he couldn't afford to eat, but he wouldn't deign to study with Matisse. Now, I gave him a coin and left.
Dear audience, your forbearance, we are now shifting the scene to an evening with Soutine and the great Amadeo Modigliani. I invite you to imagine that Soutine is... Oh, here he is now.
Oh, my cue. Modi.
Jaime!
It's Chaim.
Catching sandwiches again. I thought you took a joke.
And the very lovely Jean Ebuton enters.
Your first day.
I dropped a trunk.
That was you? Charmed to meet you as well. This one was carrying a trunk at the station. It had to be twice his size. Some poor Spanish woman trotting behind him like a puppy. Señor, por favor, es suficiente. She grabs his arm and the trunk crushes down on his foot. Everything, and I mean everything, spills out. La Señora's private garments on display all over the station. Your friend here tries to gather them up, hobbling around like a goat with one leg too short. Corset under his arm, brassiere under his neck, stuffing garter belts into his pockets. She storms out, his boss, dragging the open trunk behind her. Madame, please, 1,000 pardon, Jaime here.
It's Chaim.
Oh, my apologies. Chaim, hobbling to keep up.
Amadeo Modigliani, painter and Jew.
Oh, I know who you are.
Ooh, then you have me at a disadvantage.
Jeanne Boutet, painter and saleswoman. Who's your friend?
Chaim Soutine. The greatest living artist, next to me.
Next to none. Modi, café crème.
Greatest and poorest?
Every honest painter is poor, unless they're rich. But over time, rich or poor, they and their art, poof, dissipate. I will do better than that, my talented young friend.
A sandwich?
I am going to treat you to the artist's rules for life.
Not a sandwich.
Come, great artist. I will buy you a café crème and a sandwich. Before you go, poof. I heard your exhibit of news was shut down.
I have been officially declared obscene by the city of Paris.
Details, please.
They have hair, quoth the chief of police.
That's terrible. Well, hair today, gone tomorrow.
No, that is terrible. No, to the contrary, it is a gold mine of publicity.
I meant terrible for me. I was hoping to see it.
Oh, well, we'll see what we can do about that.
You're all right? I'm so sorry. Not that you're all right. About the paintings.
But you're so kind. Perhaps you could help me recover my work and my confidence.
Oh, we shall march right over to the police station and demand both back. Fraternité, égalité, liberté, démaudit.
I would love to see that, but no model for me. Be not only a great artist, but also great art.
Absolutely. When and where?
Tomorrow. We'll stop for a little hashish.
Hashish?
Hashish, opium, absinthe, beautiful women, and art. One can't exist without them.
I will forgo the first three. I trust you count me among the fourth, and I am all in for the fifth.
Do you know Zborowski, my dealer?
I don't.
It will be my greatest pleasure to introduce you and your work to him. I painted this one's portrait on his doors. A masterpiece. Madame Zbo, however, was less than impressed. I assured her, one day, that will be worth its weight in gold, to which she replied, perhaps, but until then we have to live with it. Oh, he wants to represent you, by the way. Sounds like the Kaiser is calling again.
Yes. What about Zborowski?
I understand a bomb hit Notre Dame yesterday.
He wants to represent me?
Not too much damage, I hope.
Fortunately, the Huns are as incompetent at dropping bombs as they are at everything else.
Zborowski wants me.
We leave for Nice next week.
Nice?
To the glorious Mediterranean sun, to live and to paint forever.
How much?
5 francs a day.
Matisse wants me to join the academy.
How much do you have? How much do you have now?
Bokis.
How much will you have if you join Matisse's academy?
Bokis mit kadachis.
Loosely translated, shivering shitballs. And now for the rules. Number 1, an artist earns his living by his brush, and by living I mean wine. Waiter! 1 sketch for 3 glasses of wine. Et voila, a miracle. Art is turned into wine. Drink up, mes amis.
Rule number 2, an artist should eat. Waiter, a sketch for 2 sandwiches. Waiter. What? Bukis. I get bukis. Bring the food. I will pay. Rule number 3, be born male if you want to earn your living as an artist. And by living, I mean living. Number 4, close your mouth when you eat.
Oh, and don't take food from another's plate. And rule number
4?
The 5, poetry.
Yes. Chaim, you first.
I don't know any poetry.
Yeah, rule number important, don't lie. Drink and don't lie. Waiter, more wine. 2 bottles. We are going to drink tonight. Hi, poetry.
Pushkin, the world's greatest poet, recited by Soutine, the world's greatest artist. Я вас любил, любовь еще быть может. В душе моей угасла не совсем. I love you, and that love will never fade from my heart. I do not want to cause you pain, so grieve not for me.
No. You are in France, my lovely little Jew. Baudelaire.
Baudelaire, une charogne. Rappelez-vous l'objet que nous vîmes.
Yes, my love, do you recall when we saw that fair, sweet summer morn?
A foul carcass on a bed of gravel, its legs raised in the air like a lustful woman, burning and dripping with poisons, its belly swollen with gas.
Crouched behind the boulders, an anxious dog watched us with angry eye, waiting to take back the morsel he had left.
And yet you will be like this corruption, like this horrible infection.
Then, oh
my
beauty, say to the worms who will devour you with kisses.
That I have kept the form and the divine essence of my decomposed love.
De mes amours décomposés.
Drink!
Don't lie!
Poetry!
And never die!
You have a hole in your shoe.
Oh, he'll have to stay in bed tomorrow.
What?
Well, it's the only pair of shoes he owns, and he won't get up without shoes.
You should become a cobbler, then you could fix your own shoe.
Rule number forever, an artist does not cobble.
Well, then you could be a tailor. Wear your art. We could sell it on the bon marché.
His father was a tailor.
Mender.
A distinction without a difference?
He patched holes in clothes, and then he patched the holes in the patches. To hell with that tailor's life. I might as well take a rope and hang myself. Music, please. Ich bin a Schneider, ich mach Kleider für Menschen groß und klein. Aber die Achnosse, die Parnasse, sie nicht wie es gewinnt. Geworden älter, schwacher, kälter, ich hab scheinbar keine Hand. Von mein Nein nicht Gott zu keinen, gar nicht auf keiner Hand. Hinter der Schneiderei, die Arbeit ist nicht vorbei. Du was ich kenn, ich nehm und trennen, mach gar nicht dabei. Ich hab scheinbar kein Keuch, kein Hand, kein Fies, kein Meuch. Nicht da kein Blick, Gott nehm ein Strick. Hinter der Schneiderei, hinter der Schneiderei.
Drink they did, a lot. As it grew late, time passed out, and Modi pulled his pants down.
What are you doing?
Don't I look like a god?
You are
Love that frees no lover from loving took hold of me so strongly because of your beauty. And it has not freed me yet. Love lead the two of us unto one death.
so romantic. Now pull your pants up.
I'm leaving you now. But don't worry, I leave you, not worry, I leave you with Soutine. A genius. Rule number bunny. Don't sleep for more than a week. Nice awaits. Everything dances around me, as if I stumbled into Soutine landscape.
In 1918, Modi, Jeanne, and Chaim went to Nice. Modi and Jeanne had their first child and returned to Paris. Zborowski, or Zbo, their dealer, had heard nothing from Chaim for months. He and Paulette Jourdain, his assistant, traveled there with the hope of procuring paintings for sale. Find him they did, living in a fetid sty piled to the ceiling with landscapes. We open with Zborowski, or Zbo, and Paulette examining the paintings.
Chaim, they're wonderful.
They're shit.
You're not going to...
Murder them? No. They're too contemptible even for that. But they're better than Modi's.
That's another reason I wanted to see you. I don't know if you know this, but Modi returned to Paris a few months ago. I hadn't heard from a bit, so I checked in on him, and he was sick, delirious, really. Everything was with him, and we took him to the hospital, but nothing could be done.
What?
He died.
What? From what?
Tubercular meningitis.
But that's contagious. He coughed on me. We drank from the same glass.
Are you feeling ill?
Do I have a fever?
No,
How do you know?
I know.
He's dead? Why didn't you tell me?
I sent you word about the funeral. Did you not get my telegram?
I don't know. I didn't. I don't. And Jeanne?
Parents came for her. She was 8 months pregnant, their second child. She threw herself out a window. A fifth floor window.
She was only...
21.
You're going back to Paris?
Yes.
Tonight?
Yes, we need to sell these.
These?
Yes, these. Are you staying here?
No. I'll go with you.
Oh, great. Let's get these into a car.
I am very hungry.
I've brought some food. Why don't you carry these out? Paulette can help you.
No. I'll load them.
Zbo and Paulette went to the car. Turn your knives. Soutine got a gas can, sloshed gasoline on the shed, and set it ablaze. I think you'd better turn around.
Hi, what are you doing?
They're shit.
They're mine!
Yours.
They wrestled. Zbo managed to rescue a few paintings. The fire raged, destroying the rest. And it was back to Paris. In 1923, Alfred Barnes, American chemist, art collector, and founder of the Barnes Foundation, came to Paris on a buying spree. Zbo showed him the little pastry chef. I will be honored to read as Barnes.
That's a peach! More! Yes! These are truly shocking! I must meet the Soutine now!
I don't know if he'll come. He's a bit eccentric.
Well, of course he is. He's an artist. That's why they need to be protected, largely from themselves. But please, send for him.
Paulette, don't take no for an answer, and clean him up before you bring him.
I found him drinking wine, reading, smoking, and listening to Bach on the Victrola. Hi, Zbo wants to see you.
I'm busy.
Well, I can see that. Doing what?
Waiting.
Or?
The sun.
It's sunny.
That's January sun. I'm waiting for spring sun.
That's better.
Not much, but it's closer to summer.
Well, cheer up, Chaim. Summer is here. Barnes is in town and he's in the mood to buy.
The collector?
Yes, the pulse is on Barnes.
No.
What?
Cézanne will be forgotten in half a minute. Too cerebral. And if this Barnes owns them, he knows nothing.
He owns Picasso's too.
A swindler.
Well, not everyone can be Chaim Soutine.
That is so true. My paintings are shit, but they're better than theirs. And one day I'll destroy all of mine. But Picasso, Cézanne, they could never do that. They're cowards.
Of course they are. Here, put this suit on.
Does he want a painting or a prostitute?
According to you, there isn't a difference. Now put it on.
Soutine, excellent.
You can't have that one.
But I want them all.
Chaim, stop! No, don't shred that!
The others, you may purchase. How much?
I must say, you drive a hard bargain, so that leaves what? 50 paintings, give or take?
How much?
3,000 American?
How much is that?
In francs? 75.
75,000?
1,000.
75,000?
Chaim, I think that's it.
Done.
Soutine grabbed the money, rushed out, and immediately took a taxi to Nice. Nice meeting you too. Barnes later said, I caught him when he was drunk, sick, and broke, and took the contents of his studio for pittance. And Soutine?
He was a complete boor. I was an idiot to go to such trouble.
His life changed. He became a hero in Montparnasse. You could find artists in the cafes emulating him, reading Dostoevsky and Pushkin, copying his style, forging his signature. He threw out his rags and dressed in British suits, silk shirts, and ties, and grey, and only grey, fedoras. Those who once sneered at him as dirty, now sneered at him as a dandy. While he had promised to help his friends if he became successful,
I never did.
he now pretended not to know them if he ran into them on the street or in the cafes.
Well, if I had as little talent as they, I would have become a boxer.
And he fell in love with a lovely young artist, Zizou, the daughter of his friend Elie Foire. Our gracious readers will now portray Elie and his daughter Zizou.
Ellie, but what if you love someone?
Chaim, they both employ the same verb, aimer. When you like someone, you say je t'aime bien. When you love someone, you simply say je t'aime.
And if you're absolutely crazy about that person, if you can think of nothing else.
Je suis fou de toi. Is that strong?
I'm afraid I will never be able to paint again if I can't have her. If she won't have me.
You've been speaking of your feelings for months now. And anyone can tell that she's quite fond of you. Her mother and I have no objections. Talk to her.
Could you?
It really must come from you.
Look at me.
And?
I'm grotesque. Tell her how I feel. Please?
No. She's in the study. Go to her.
I am? It's just so good to see you. Did you bring the portrait?
I'm sorry, Zizou. I didn't.
You promised I could see it. Lord knows I sat for so long.
I know. May I speak to you on a personal matter?
Of course. Please sit. Oh, so soft, like the touch of silk.
Zizou, je suis tout de foi.
I am, you're so funny. I know you are a genius.
What? Why are you laughing?
Oh, I'm sorry. I misunderstood. It's just that you said, I am all of time.
Oh, no, Zizou. I am all of stupid. What I meant to say is, je t'aime.
Bien, frère?
What?
Je t'aime bien? Moi aussi.
No. No bien.
No bien? You love me? Oh. This is so... I wish you had told me sooner. I'm so sorry, dear Chaim, but I'm already engaged.
You are? To be married? To who? To whom?
To my cousin, Pierre. You met him here last week.
Oh, I see. I am such a... Please forgive me.
He rushed out again, this time fighting back tears.
Chaim, please.
Chaim, but what's happened?
You should have told her.
What?
You should have told her.
Soutine never forgave me for my silence.
For not speaking to her? For your silence?
Yes, his silence.
In fact, he almost never did anything again. He went immediately to his studio and obliterated Zizou's face on his portrait of her. Fortunately, Paulette entered just as he tossed a rope over the roof beam and slipped the noose around his neck. She took it off, dried his eyes, and put his hat on his head.
No.
Yes, to the Louvre.
And at the Louvre, Rembrandt, and the slaughtered ox.
Yes.
Zbo purchased the carcass of an ox, and Chaim set to work. Within minutes, flies had found a subject.
It's just flies on top of flies. I do not paint flies. Paulette, shoo them away.
Shoot!
More shoo-shooing.
Chaim, I'm not spending the next who knows how many days shoo-shooing.
Then find someone who will.
He paid a wretched little model to fan them away, and he worked on. The carcass became luminescent, then blackened and dried out.
Blood.
Blood? So it was back to the butcher. Chaim doused the carcass with buckets of blood and painted on. And the stench grew and grew, and the neighbors complained. The health inspector came. Chaim, deathly afraid of uniforms, hid behind me. The inspector demanded the carcass be removed and the studio fumigated. I pleaded with him. This is Chaim Soutine, and this is his masterpiece, his Rembrandt.
My Soutine.
His Soutine. Finally, the inspector relented and gave us syringes of formaldehyde to inject this and future animal subjects to preserve them. He told us to bury the carcasses when we were through. Our neighbors already weren't too fond of us poisoning their dogs and cats, probably wouldn't help. When the painting was done, Chaim invited Madeleine Castaing to inspect it. He waited apprehensively for her verdict.
As you will recall, I'm not only your humble narrator, I am also Madeleine Castaing, the role I will now be assuming.
You don't like it.
Chaim, please!
It's hideous. I knew it. A monstrosity.
No, Chaim, stop! You cannot destroy this. It's wonderful. He could be quite capricious. My husband and I first encountered him in Paris in 1918. We had just begun collecting art. Bodhi recommended him. We met them at the Rotunda. Chaim had a painting with him. We loved it and told him so.
You do? Really?
We really do. Can we buy it?
No. I'm sorry. I can't sell you this one.
Can we go to your studio? We'll pay you 100 francs for another. In advance.
What?
What?
No.
No.
No. Why would you buy one without seeing it? It might be crap. You don't like this painting. You only want to help me. Keep your money. I'm not a beggar.
And off he stormed. Again. To be fair, though, he did look like a beggar. Certainly like he needed help, but we could see his genius. We met him again in 1927, when he was taking one of his cures at the mineral baths near our estate. Paulette was still managing the details of his life.
His ulcer had gotten worse. He couldn't work. He quarreled with Zborowski about finances. Zbo was in financial trouble himself. The Castaings gave him stability, a steady diet, a clean place to live and to paint. But he could be demanding.
Demanding. That's an understatement. If you wanted him to paint for you, you must first find an earlier Soutine.
Which you will improve or destroy. Dealers have learned to hang their Soutines too high for him to rush in and snatch off the wall.
You also have to provide him with a 17th century painting on its original stretcher. He will scour it clean.
My brush glides freely on an old canvas. Plus, this way I replace a piece of garbage with a
And in
masterpiece.
choosing subjects,
Let's see. Oh, if he's going to paint a herring, drive him at dawn to meet the train from the coast, hoping that this day, this train will bring the perfect fish. The fish he has literally been dreaming of. And if it doesn't, go again tomorrow. And tomorrow.
like you're waiting for a detained lover. And if you're looking for a calf's head, make sure it's
A calf's head of distinction.
In buying a chicken, reject the offer of a fat, juicy one.
A skinny one is better, and blue is best. Nail it to the wall by its beak. In a few days it will be perfect.
Oh, and if out on one of his excursions, he should espy a particularly pathetic horse.
Oh, it was exquisite.
An exquisitely pathetic horse.
With human eyes, such suffering. It didn't even have the strength to lie down to wait for its merciful release.
You must let him drag you to the end of the earth. There, you will find a gypsy family sitting on the grass beside their wagon eating lunch. The horse covered with mud.
And sores.
Oh, yes, the sores. Well, of course, you must lead the caravan back to your home and put them up for days, while Soutine paints the horse.
But it is exquisite.
It truly is.
And the painting process?
Where shall we begin?
Be as personally slovenly as you like. Yes, he did return to his slovenly ways after Barnes, but your brushes and palette must be immaculate.
Fast for days before you begin, especially for animal still lifes.
You have to have the appetite of a cannibal to capture the totemic frenzy of the slaughter.
If you're painting indoors, there must be Bach on the Victrola.
But indoors or out, when painting a portrait, you must again find the perfect model. You, and by you I mean I, must motor with him day after day, this one peering right and left until he yells out, "Stop!" For he has espied the perfect model, knee-deep in a stream, washing clothes.
Rembrandt, again.
She was perfect.
Shall I?
Model? Of course, you're perfect.
Don't move.
Begin with 30 brushes.
Discard them ruthlessly, often after a single stroke.
Silence.
Paint furiously. Throw yourself at the canvas. Grind your teeth. Shout. Open your eyes wider.
The colors, the flames of color.
Rub your beautiful paint-covered fingers over your throat and caress your face.
The model pleading, "Please, sir, I'm getting tired."
Oh, you're getting ugly, and I'm losing the lines. Stop.
And slap the pigment on with a brush and grind it in with your hands. Dislocate your thumb. Mutter incomprehensibly. Scream. Throw yourself on the floor. On the third day, clouds suddenly gathered. The model, not crying.
Stop, please.
Don't move. You're ruining my work.
Now, whimpering.
Please, mister.
The thunder rolled on. The rain fell in sheets. The woman, crying hysterically, shaking with cold and fright.
Stupid, isn't it?
Is it?
I have this fear.
Of?
I don't know.
After he completes a painting, it takes hours for him to recover.
He walks about with his hat pulled over his face and his eyes wet with tears.
I feel like I have given birth. What is wrong with me?
What is wrong with me?
Even still, he revisits the painting.
You don't like it?
No, Chaim, it's a masterpiece.
Why?
The posture of embarrassment, the vague sense of guilt that is every woman, the shame.
Exactly.
Then there was the other Soutine, the idler, moody, solitary, prone to fits of anger, waiting for the miracle of inspiration. During these periods, we lived in constant trepidation and hope.
And he continued to have flare-ups of the ulcer, at times incapacitating him.
So in 1937, we returned to Paris for treatment, where he first met Gerda Michaelis.
Thank you. With bittersweet pleasure. I stopped for coffee at the Dome. He was there with Madeleine, and I was instantly attracted to him. His eyes shone with ironic gaiety. His hands were splattered with paint as if dipped in confetti. Madeleine arranged for us to stop by his apartment the next day. As we left, she whispered to me,
You realize he is an artist.
"Yes?
That means he pays attention to little else?
Are you suggesting that he might not be interested in me?"
Oh, to the contrary. But you shouldn't be shocked at the state of his apartment.
Well, that was easy to say. My God, everything was dirty. The furniture was stained and dusty and completely disarranged. Maggots and bud bags, living and dead, were strewn or scuttling about the floors and walls. Brushes and paints were scattered everywhere.
An aperitif?
No, thank you. My stomach is a touch upset. In truth, the glasses were, well, not very clean. We chatted. He agreed to come to my place later in the week with Madeleine. During the next days, I tried to give it a little more elegance. I borrowed a tablecloth from the manager and bought flowers and a small cake. Madeleine arrived at 5. Chaim did not. I was annoyed, but also oddly worried.
Darling, Chaim doesn't have a watch. I'm not all that certain that he can tell time. Even if he can, he won't be bothered about it. He'll remember you at midnight or even in 3 days. For him, there may be no difference.
We chatted for a bit. She left as night fell. I lit the lamp and sat disappointed in a cloud of cigarette smoke. Finally, at 8, Chaim arrived, smiling. I admit I uttered a little squeal of joy. He accepted a touch of tea with milk. We talked about stepping out for dinner, and suddenly he became so excited, like a child, really.
Gerda, do you like boxing?
What?
It's a wonderful sport.
Boxing.
There's a match at the velodrome tonight. Please, come with me.
I'd love to. Really, I had no interest in it, but I welcomed the opportunity to stay in his company. He insisted we sit in the front row. I confess, it seemed brutal to me, but he was so engrossed.
Dear audience, if it pleases you, you might imagine the sounds of a boxing match.
His eyes shone, and he moved reflexively, sympathetically with each blow. Suddenly, he doubled over. I'm sorry to say, I thought perhaps it was out of his passion for the moment.
Gerda,
Chaim?
please, take me home.
What is it?
My stomach, please.
I tucked him into his bed and prepared some Vichy water.
Don't leave me.
Shh, don't agitate yourself.
Stay, please. At least for tonight.
How could I leave you like this? Gradually, his pain subsided and he fell asleep. His breathing relaxed and rhythmic. I soon fell asleep in the chair next to him, having swept it clean of any vermin I could find. When I awoke, he was sitting, smoking, calm and refreshed. As I gathered my things to leave, he implored,
Please, stay with me.
I would so love to, but I have to go to work.
Quit your work. Stay with me.
He hugged me, and he kissed me, and we kissed. You're feeling better.
I am. Because of you. Gerda Michaelis, you have been my guardian. Now let me guard you. Stay with me.
And so I was baptized Gerda Guard. I returned later that day with my few possessions and set about cleaning and organizing the apartment. No small task. And I indeed tried to guard him. But he continued to have flare-ups of stomach pain. One day, he found a piece of ham in the garbage.
What is this?
That's from Tuesday, I'm sorry. I should have disposed of the garbage.
It's rancid.
Well, yes, that happens to meat if it's left out too long. Let me get rid of it.
But I ate some of it.
Yes, on Tuesday. It wasn't rancid then.
But now it's in my stomach, rotting there.
That's been digested.
How do you know? Can you see in my stomach? You can't. Oh, it's going to kill me.
He then gave up all meat, ate only boiled vegetables, and drank only milk. I persuaded him finally to see a physician, who diagnosed an ulcer and recommended medicine and a diet of meat, fish, and eggs. Chaim listened silently. When we got back to the house, he attacked.
He's a charlatan. I don't have an ulcer. His treatment is going to kill me.
A pause, dear audience. Marie-Berthe, Aurenche, our host, has returned having concluded the funeral arrangements. She is initially unnoticed by the others.
He wouldn't speak to me for days. Finally, Madeleine suggested he visit her friend, Professor Gosset. Since it was Madeleine, Chaim agreed. Gosset concurred with the diagnosis and treatment plan. Since it was Madeleine, Chaim acquiesced. The first time I served him an egg, he ate it with great trepidation, waiting for an attack. None came. He was now thrilled to eat food which he had previously forbidden himself. His condition improved, but Gosset also told me that it was serious. Our time together was precious. However, having dedicated myself to being his guard, I was financially helpless without him, and while he could be critical about my appearance...
Gerda, you don't look at all good this morning. I don't want Madeleine to see you like this.
He was, shall we say, intolerant of what he considered frivolous spending.
Very diplomatically said.
Oh, Marie, welcome back. Is it time?
I know we have a few minutes. Please continue.
I was just saying how frugal he was.
And how he valued Madeleine's opinion above all. But frugal? Shall we tell it together?
Of course.
Where are you hiding it now?
What?
The money.
I need a new dress.
That one is fine. Besides, I prefer you without clothes.
It always was about what he preferred. Please, it's not in the sugar jar.
Or the hat box.
I put it in the bank.
Like you would trust a bank.
He was certain that the bank guard would creep up.
And strangle him as he stood at the teller's window.
You don't know those people. Why do you think they work in a bank?
When I was with him, he received a letter. What is it?
It says that I have a child.
A child? How old?
10. But it's not true.
Who is the mother?
A singer from Vilna. She modeled for me. One time and only one time, and then she wants me to marry her.
Why would she write to you now?
It seems I have become the goose that lays golden eggs.
Don't you want to at least see the child to know for certain?
And perpetuate this lie? No. And we will never discuss this again.
You could see this upset me.
Please, Gerda, don't worry. If we ever have a child, I will marry you.
Perhaps. But I wonder, would the child have been clothed?
I heard this story. The mother is said to have been the model for his only nude portrait.
Shortly after this, the Nazis invaded Poland. We lived day to day, trying to close our eyes to the future. My family's home in Germany had been appropriated. I had had no word from them for over a year. I can only imagine. After the invasion of France, German Jews were ordered to report to a camp in the Pyrenees. We thought it best if I did. Chaim stayed in Paris. I was so worried about leaving him and afraid of what would happen. I often wonder if he would be alive today if I had stayed with him.
Gerda, I'm so sorry. I know you took exquisite care of him. His diet, his home, his studio. They were immaculate when you were here.
You think I killed him?
Marie-Berthe, I didn't say that.
No, but you think it. You told Marcel Lolo you were afraid you signed his death warrant when you introduced us.
It's just that I was concerned how you would get on.
Well, if you felt that way, why didn't you look after him? I see the disdain you have. Yes, this place is filthy. But you know how slovenly he was. That was my responsibility.
Marie, it's just that he needed to be looked out for. We all knew that.
I agreed to live with him. Not to be his nursemaid, his cook, lover, maid, model, and muse. I was his companion and collaborator. And by the way, Madeleine, how much money have you made on his paintings?
We haven't sold any.
But it's a nice investment, though.
And what about these?
I earned these.
For simply living with him.
Simply living with him? How much do you think he made during the occupation? He couldn't sell anything, but we managed. I sold some knitting. We got a little money for my family, although they were not happy about me being with him, let alone supporting him. We weren't safe. I tried to talk him into getting a visa to go to America, and his response?
There are no trees there.
No trees? In America? When the Nazis were asking around about a certain Jewish artist, he was worried about trees? We, not you, were forced into hiding. I could have abandoned him. Why didn't you keep him at your estate in Lev?
The Nazis appropriated it also.
And your apartment here? No, that might have been dangerous, harboring a Jew. We were forced to move from friend to friend. My friends, including the Lalos, you signed his death warrant Lalos, it wasn't safe for them either. We had to sneak out in the middle of the night when the custodian started asking questions. So we left Paris, and we went to, and when we got to Champagny, What does he say?
The trees are too straight.
Again, the trees. And again, inquiries about a Jewish artist. We spent 2 years moving from place to place, sometimes sleeping in the woods. You don't think our beloved little baby Chaim navigated this, do you? And when his ulcer worsened, I took him to the hospital in Chinon. You didn't.
Marie-Berthe, I'm sorry. I can only imagine what you went through, and we all appreciate it.
But
I just think that the trip from Chinon might have been, well, ill-advised.
and do you think that was my decision? Do you think I wanted to travel with him? With the Gestapo looking for him? Yes, I brought him here from Chinon. And the hearse? Well, the doctor suggested it. We were less likely to be stopped. He also gave us a death certificate. Cause of death, tuberculosis. Less likely to be searched if we were stopped. Chaim, of course, did not believe this was necessary.
If we are stopped, they won't recognize me.
Oh?
I'm wearing a blue hat.
What?
They've only seen me in a gray hat.
Right.
And what's in the parcel?
We made some stops on the way.
Oh,
Champagny, Soiree, Lev.
you stopped to collect his paintings.
And if we did?
It may have cost him his life.
Oh, you think going to Paris was my idea? He would only be treated by your friend, the esteemed Professor Gosset. When did Chaim first see him, Gosset?
6 years ago?
And what did he say then?
6 years?
You didn't tell him.
We didn't think he would take it.
You don't think that he had a right to know? Listen, I didn't condemn him as a Jew, and I didn't tell him to come to Paris or to collect the paintings. And we were indeed stopped. I was questioned for over an hour. Madeleine, but you're not entirely wrong, though. I do admit that there's one that I did want.
Oh?
A portrait we did together.
Together.
Of me.
Chaim let you work on this painting?
Oh, Michel. You've been so quiet, I forgot you were here. The face, my face, was, well, indelicate. I improved it. It's here with the others, the ones he wanted to pick up, and he knew I would need them to pay for our expenses. So, shall I show you?
Please, by all means. Show us what's in the parcel.
What? They're all shredded. Oh, Chaim!
So much for collaborating with the great Soutine.
Oh, thank you, Madeleine, for that observation.
It's ironic. Really, to him the knife was as important as the brush for his reputation.
Michel, you're still here. I liked it better when you were quiet. It's time for us to go.
The grave is prepared?
Yes. Right next to his beloved Baudelaire. And when it's time, I'll be there with them.
You?
Well, I purchased the grave next to his. What? I saw him into heaven, and I will be there for him for eternity. And oh, I'm so sorry, Gerda, but now that he's destroyed so many, I'm afraid I will need to take back mother and child.
Marie-Berthe, how can you be so heartless?
Madeleine, darling, you have so many. Perhaps Gerda can choose from yours. No? I thought not. We best prepare him.
The mystery remains, how did he get his scars on his chest?
I can tell you this.
I'm sorry, we're in the middle of...
Mother,
Chaim? Oh, I beg your pardon. Mother Soutine,
I know this.
please, tell us.
Before he left Minsk, I asked Chaim, how did you learn to make pictures?
Mother, I've always made pictures. Even before I could walk or draw, I saw them. I saw the sunlight playing on the wall by my bed. It was breathing. I could feel and hear its heartbeat. I remember it as clearly as I always have and always will remember your face. I've tried to capture the glow and the heat and the heartbeat of that light ever since.
He began drawing. His father forbade this, and he beat him. His brother scolded him. Du bist Jid. Du tust nicht, Mann. And they beat him. He told you he stole my knife to buy a pencil.
You did.
This is not true. I gave it to him. It was all I could give him. His father asked where it was. I was afraid to tell him. My darling Chaim said nothing. His father beat him and locked him in the cellar for days without food.
And the question, where did this shtetl Jew get the money to go to Minsk?
I once saw our butcher cut the throat of a goose to bleed it out. I wanted to cry out, but the look of absolute joy on the butcher's face caught the cry in my throat. This is the cry I've tried to free ever since with my painting.
When he was 14, he painted the village idiot. He was so proud of that painting. He asked the same butcher, our rabbi, if he could paint this picture. The rabbi smiled and patted him on the head and invited him to his home. My son followed, no doubt beaming with his good fortune. When he got there, the rabbi called his 2 sons. They beat him like a dog. And when he lay lifeless in the street, they gouged the number of transgressed commandments on his chest with his beloved pencil. For the first 2 days, we didn't think he was going to live. He couldn't walk for 2 weeks for needing to paint. When he recovered, I determined that this child was going to have a life. I threatened to sue the rabbi. It was outrage. Imagine a woman threatening a rabbi. But he gave me 14 rubles. These I gave to Chaim. When his father protested, I also gave him his father's coat.
It's ironic. He might have lived and died a wretched cobbler in the Smilers. Unfulfilled, unknown, the beating brought him to Minsk, to Vilnius, to Paris, to the world.
And to the hearse.
For a shtetl Jew, the hearse is always waiting. Oh, my beauty.
Star of my eyes.
My
Sunlight
angel.
of my being.
My angel and my passion.
Say to the worms who will devour you with kisses.
That I have kept the form and the divine essence of my decomposed love.
What did he call this picture?
Grotesque.
He's beautiful.